Hey everybody, Ian from ianarthurs.com here with another video for you. As usual, please make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. So for today's video, we're going to have another honest talk about music. And our subject is going to be, what is a genre? And that's an interesting question that I'd never tried to put into words until students started asking me over the years. I'd always kind of taken it for granted that I have a preconceived idea of what jazz sounds like, what heavy metal sounds like, and so on and so on. So to put it into words, I found to be pretty interesting and almost hard to define. But I'm first going to read for you the definition of genre from Google. It says, a category of artistic composition as in music or literature, characterized by similarities in form, style, or subject matter. That doesn't really tell us a whole lot of anything when it comes to explaining a genre to somebody who doesn't know in music. And so I came up with what I think are 2 or maybe even 3 core elements to what a genre is, in my opinion. This is all open for debate, so after you hear my opinions, go ahead and tell me why I'm wrong in the comments. It'll be fun. So first off, I think the sonic palette is the biggest. I think the instrumentation of the band plays a big factor, and within that, what sounds they are using. For instance, if you hear a distorted guitar, you're assuming right away it's not a jazz song. Jazz, if you're hearing a regular, what we call straight ahead jazz, that's using a pretty clean guitar, right? And it's often using an upright bass player. Not always, but often. And we're hearing horn players in the mix, stuff like that. So the instrumentation themselves and the sounds that they're using has a big effect. If you're talking about rock music, now, yeah, you're getting into maybe a really heavy distortion, might be heavy metal or hard rock, or any of the many subgenres of rock music. There's about 1 million. So it's, once again, a little bit specific to that, but it doesn't mean that all music with distortion is only heavy metal. It doesn't work that way. So it's just one of the factors, but I find it to be a big one. If you hear a synth in a song, for instance, depending on the sound of that synth, it might right away lend itself to an 80s rock sound, right? We have a lot of music from the 80s that uses kind of that synth-heavy sound. So it just kind of, when you hear it, you kind of know. It's just kind of era-based. That when you hear that music from that time, it sounded a certain way. That's part of it. Number 2, I think the rhythmic choices are huge. So, for instance, the rhythms in reggae music and the rhythms in jazz are often very different. Reggae music, more than any other, has that very specific 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and that emphasis on the offbeats. When you're hearing a guitar part from a reggae song, you're hearing that kind of basis of the rhythm being not where you'd expect it to be. It's not on the downbeat. Like I said, it's in between the beats more so for the guitar playing. The drums are playing differently than they would in a rock song. For instance, we think of drummers playing in rock music, the bass drum on beats 1 and 3 and the snare drum on 2 and 4. That's kind of a very standard way of doing that. But not every genre works that way. So that's another kind of interesting thing. When you hear drums, when you hear guitar, the way they're playing within the context of the music, those rhythms will tell you a lot about what genre it is. Now, jazz music, for instance, uses swing rhythms. That's not the only genre that does, though. So while you could say that, yeah, jazz uses a lot of swing rhythm, it's not exclusive to jazz and doesn't instantly tell you it's that. There's a lot of rock music that uses swing rhythm as well. It just depends, really. So once again, it's an ingredient, but it's not exclusive to it. So that's number 2, is that rhythmic factor. The third one that I'm debating myself whether I can even really include it would be the harmony. And harmony is a fancy word for chords. So chords, well, here's the thing. A 12-bar blues progression, for instance, one of the most famous blues progression, or one of the most famous chord progressions of all time, sorry. Well, that exists in blues music, of course, and it also exists in rock music and funk music and jazz and, well, countless other genres, I'm sure, too, and subgenres. So can you really say that a chord progression is, a defining factor of a genre? No, I don't think you can. I don't think chords are inherently genre specific. I do think that you can say harmonic complexity might be a factor, though. Jazz is known for being the most harmonically complex. So in a lot of pop music, you might hear, a major chord. In jazz, it might be a major 7 or, a 6, or, the options are endless. So you hear other kind of combinations of notes that are more specific to jazz. It's not exclusive again, though. So to really define all of it is so hard because it's not one size fits all when you're trying to define a genre. I think that there are factors, but I don't think there's any one deciding factor. I think it's the combination of all these things. And I've heard the same way there's a lot of complex chords in jazz, I've heard pop music that has beautiful complex chord progressions. It's not specific to jazz. So all of this plays in. I think it's all the combination of these factors. That's what really makes it what it is. I don't think it's one defining factor. It's the combination of them. Like I said, this is a fun, open for debate subject. Let me know what you think. Put it in the comments below. What is a genre to you? Is there something that I left out that you think really defines a genre? Or do you think I hit it? If that's the case, let me know that too. That's great. But let me know what you think, and I'll see you on the next one.